I'm Fred Stolle. I'm a Hall of Famer in the International Tennis Hall of Fame, the Australian Hall of Fame and the Australian Sports Hall of Fame. The reason I'm there, I guess, is because I won 18 Grand Slam tennis titles. But my career started as a kid. My parents played tennis and we concentrated on teams in those days. When you were going to school and you're going to primary school, you'd come home from school after school and you'd pick up with 4 or 5 of your buddies and go down to the local courts. We didn't have country clubs like you have over here in the United States. We had just private courts, and we had to bag the courts after we finished and sweep the lines so that the ladies could come in and play their midweek tennis. But very important to get that team concept so that you have friends. And we had 4 kids playing 1 through 4 when we played on schoolboy competitions on Saturday mornings, and you played 2 sets of doubles and 1 set of singles in teams against other teams in the area. And then you progressed from that. When I went to high school, I was the captain of my high school tennis team, and we played against other teams in the metropolitan area in Sydney. And from there, if you get better, you start to go into the junior tournaments and play the metropolitan area, the local tournaments, and then the state tournaments. And if you get good enough, you represent your state. And I was lucky enough to go overseas. My first overseas trip, though, was by public subscription. My parents never had a lot of money, and it took my dad 9 months, kids, and just remember this, 9 months it took to raise $3,000 to get me to go on my first overseas trip. So I have a lot to thank my friends and family for doing that, so don't forget that. My parents were very supportive of what I did, but they never got in the way of my coaching. And that's one of the problems today, and I hate to say it, but the parents now want their kids to be something that they weren't. They want to live vicariously through the kids. I have a child that was on the tour myself. We're the only father and son, the Stolles, Sandon and Fred, are the only father and son that have ever, in the sport of tennis, won a Grand Slam title. He won the US Open doubles. I won, as I said, 18 of them. My parents supported me. I supported my son, but I didn't go and watch him play every match that he played, and I had not much to do. I trained him when he was a kid. As soon as he got good enough, they don't want to listen to dad. You put him off with somebody else who you trust and you can go and talk to about what they should be doing on the tennis court. Well, before you get into tournament play, you've got to be successful with your team. It's no good going into a tournament when you're going into say a 16 and under tournament and you're 12. Obviously you're playing against older kids, so the chances of you winning too many matches, not very remote. So my performance over the years, or what I've done in the coaching over the years, is when you've had parents come in with you to get coached by me with the kids, don't put them up in the upper grades too early. Let them get used to winning, and then you can put them up. But if you've got a kid and you throw him into an under 16, he's 12 and he loses confidence, it makes him not want to go out and play, not want to go and practice. So the advice is take the kids through their levels at the age at which they're at school, and if they've got the talent, they'll get through and they'll come to the top, and then they'll still have friends that will carry them up and lift them up a little bit further. That's what Mr. Hopman did with our Davis Cup teams. He always had the guys that were at the top, always with the promising juniors who looked up to the guys that were ahead of them, but the guys at the top had to beware of the fellas down below. So they all lifted one another's game, and that's what happens when you're in team competition. It all starts in the high schools with your teams. Tennis is a sport that you can play for your entire life, and I've done that. I'm 76 years of age now. I've had great success. My kids all play tennis. It's something that you can go through. So if you get in there and you decide 4 or 5 years down the line that tennis is not for you, you can still play it. You can still go out with your friends, relatives and whatever, and still enjoy the sport for a lifetime. But as you go into your first tournaments, you must prepare. You must get a good night's rest or a week's worth of rest before you go in there. You can't go out and party and then go out and think you're going to play your best tennis. Oh, by the way, I've tried that and it doesn't work. So you got to get prepared. You got to be prepared to work hard, practice hard. And there's the one thing, that old adage, practice makes perfect. It certainly helps.